it felt like God was asking me to release people who shattered parts of me, and they never had to rebuild. I had to rebuild. They didn't have to. And so every time I felt the Lord whisper, forgive, I reacted. Okay, I'm not proud of it, but I reacted like a toddler pretending not to hear instructions. Dana, clean your room. Suddenly I'm spiritually deaf. I'm sorry, Lord, you're breaking up. What was that? I think I'm going through a tunnel. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? That's exactly what it felt like, because I wanted justice. I wanted validation for my pain. I wanted heaven to fully acknowledge how deeply I had been wounded. And honestly, I thought forgiveness meant that I was going to have to minimize the pain. Maybe you guys have felt like that too. And maybe every time somebody mentions forgiveness, something rises up inside of you and says, but you don't understand what they did to me. You don't understand the years of dealing with their addiction. You don't understand the years of the lies, the deceit, the abuse, the physical, the fear. Friend, I may not know your exact story, but I understand that sentence and those sentences and those reasons. I understand them very deeply. And today I want to talk about what forgiveness really is and what it absolutely isn't. Because forgiveness is not permission. It is a release. And sometimes the very first step towards forgiveness isn't really the forgiving part yet. I'll explain that later as we go along. But sometimes that first step is simply saying, Lord, just help me be willing to forgive. And that was my prayer. And it wasn't, okay, I'm ready to forgive. It wasn't, I feel so compassionate, I want to forgive. It wasn't, I feel so healed, I want to forgive. Nope. It was simply, honestly, it was just, help me be willing to forgive this person or these people. And honestly, that prayer, the obedience to pray that prayer, changed everything. So I used to think of unforgiveness was just anger that had overstayed its welcome. Like it was stale. It was just stale anger. Okay. That's what I thought for unforgiveness was. But the Lord began to show me something a whole lot deeper. And I started thinking about unforgiveness like a certificate of offense. And I've taught on this in classes using an actual certificate of offense, because that's kind of what it feels like. You have to name it. You have to put a name to it. And that kind of reminds me of what it's like to have a marriage certificate. A marriage certificate represents covenant. It represents agreement, connection. It represents two lives that are intertwined in a way. And in a strange way, unforgiveness does something very similar emotionally and spiritually. It ties us to the very pain that we're desperately trying to escape. It keeps the offense connected to our soul. And it gives hurt permanent residency in our inner world. And the longer we hold on to offense, the more bitterness starts to move furniture into the living room. And bitterness is exhausting. It poisons everything. It changes how you hear people. It changes how you trust people. It changes how you see God. And how you see yourself. And you can survive on bitterness for a little while. And frankly, that feels kind of good. It feels good to feel bitter. It feels very empowering, doesn't it? But you can't heal there. And I know this because I have lived it.